What is up, crew? Welcome to Millionaire Case Study. This is episode 72. Hey gang, so this is a different spot than I usually do my episodes of Millionaire Case Study. So this is the actual Lincoln Memorial behind me, and right in front of me, you can't really see. Let's see if I can actually show you. That's the Washington Monument. But anyway, I wanted to start catching more of these episodes kind of while I'm doing stuff and like in action instead of just talking about it after the fact. In fact, I just barely edited a lot of episode 58, which was several episodes ago, but it was more of me being in the field and recording things as I was going, and I liked it a lot, so I want to catch more stuff while I'm doing it. So what brings me here to DC? This is the first time I've ever been to DC outside of an airport, besides just making a pit stop. So in last episode, I talked to you about how I got a new client, a business coaching client. She actually lives here in DC, and so I'm going to be meeting with her tomorrow. But kind of what I wanted to touch on more than that here in episode 72 is kind of the financial picture of my business. So the whole purpose of Millionaire Case Study is to be totally open and transparent with the numbers and things like that with my business. So I just barely did finances this morning, and in the business that we brought in that to do finances with brought in around 26 grand that I had to put in different areas. And so I just want to document where I'm putting that money and kind of how my mindset is, so later on I can either rewatch it or just so that you know where I am at this point. So in full transparency, that 26 grand was the most I've ever had to do finances with. And so I just finished a book called Profit First, and in this book he really got me thinking on where to put money for different things to make a healthy business. And so I'm taking pieces of the book. I don't think I'm doing it 100%, and I'm going to finish the book and then probably read it again just so I make sure I'm not missing anything. But the first thing that he does is, first of all, he talks about having 5 main accounts. And the airplane's really loud, so I don't know if you can hear me. But 5 main accounts. Your income account, that's really, really loud. Anyway, the 5 main accounts are your income account, your owner's compensation account, your operating expense, your taxes, and your profit. Now, profit, of course, the book's called Profit First, so all of your money goes into the income account, and then you start splitting the money up to each of those accounts. And the first thing I realized is I'm doing partly what the book is recommending, which is having an income account first of all. So I'm doing that. But one thing I realized I'm not doing is I don't have an expense account, meaning I don't have a certain amount of money that I'm setting aside by percentage every single time I do finances. So what I have been doing is having an account that's dedicated to expenses, but I'm only doing the bare minimum that's required for that month of expenses. But one thing this is changing, what I am changing that I just want to document, is it's causing me to put a certain percentage in a separate account, and then I pay expenses from that account. So I have an expense account right now, or what I call the outgoing account, that anytime money goes into it, that's gone. As far as I'm concerned, it's gone. It's just waiting for whether it's a cell phone bill, whether it's rent, whether it's any expense. I'm just waiting for somebody to come put their hand in and take the money, but it's considered gone as far as I'm concerned. But what this is doing now is a certain percentage is going to a separate account, and from that separate account is where I will be putting money into the outgoing account for any of the other expenses. So here are my allocations right now. And that other airplane's really loud. But here are my allocations that I want to document. So I'm not following his system exactly. For the business my size, I think he recommends that I have a profit first of 10%. But I'm actually doing 15%. Why am I doing 15? Because how my business is set up, the overhead is very, very small. Because the overhead is really just like I have no office, everything's home based. So the only and part of this finances is not counting my designers and everything, because I pay them first kind of as subcontractors. So I have the money that comes in. These are my allocations. I have 15% that goes to profit, 15% goes to taxes, and then 20% goes to my operating expense account. So those are the three things I'm doing, and I think if I allocate money for those three things, then the business will be healthy. Now, what do I do with the other 50%? What I then do from that money is I then deduct my my owner's compensation, which right now I honestly don't need to take any more than like $3,000 out for myself every month, but I'm taking 5 out just to put into the account, just so it can build up. And then the remainder, from that, after I deduct my owner's compensation, I have 40% that goes into an investment account for either real estate or stocks. 10% goes towards what I call my PIF account, so pay it forward, and then the other 50% is for reinvesting back into the business, whether for advertising, branding, or anything else like that. So that's the allocations. I just wanted to document that. And another thing I'll just close on is there's this big event coming up called Thrive in Las Vegas, and I've been playing with the idea of sponsoring the event. And I was given the opportunity to do one of their bigger level sponsorships, and it was going to be 10 grand. And I was going to do it. I almost was going to do it. Had I not had this money system, I probably would have thought, oh, easily I can do it. There's 26 grand or 29 grand or whatever in the bank, so 10 grand's nothing. But after allocating everything where I put it, I realized, well, I don't really have 10 grand to reinvest. I have closer to 5, so I'm doing a smaller sponsorship where I'll still get a booth, can do like a chair drop so I can put my book there and everything else like that. So that's what's going on in my world right now while I'm here in Washington, D.C. Abe Lincoln right there behind me. So tomorrow morning I'm going to be meeting with my business client here. We'll be meeting for 4 hours. And then tomorrow evening I'll be hopping back on a plane to Vegas and then back home to northern Arizona. So, Washington Monument, Abraham Lincoln. Anyways, Calvin Wayman here, and if this episode has been useful to you, then please share this with another entrepreneur. Peace out.